Hello and welcome back to another episode of FinTech Focus TV with me, Toby. Today we are back talking to Tim Turner, the CIO at LMAX Group. Tim, how are you?
Very good, thank you, Toby. Good to speak to you again.
Likewise, it's lovely to have you back on the show. And look, every time I hear about LMAX, which is loads at the moment, every time I see you, there's more stuff that's going to go on. So we've got loads and loads to talk about at the moment. For those who didn't see the last episode, who may have been living under a rock and not heard the noise that's coming out from the group at the moment, can you give us a quick overview of yourself and the company?
Yep. So Tim Turner, CIO. I've been here for a long time now, seven years. It's a good stint. Seen the company grow over time. Now we're really pushing hard to grow the business. We'll touch on some of that through our chat today, I'm sure. We build and run advanced exchange technology in the FX and crypto space. We're kind of averaging 30 billion a day now, volumes across all the exchanges. Recently launched one in Singapore as well, so that's a new addition to the family. And of course, we've got crypto futures that are coming up later on in the year as well. So we're really looking forward to that. With all that technology and all those new products, we've got a real need for people, which is kind of why we're here today, right? We're talking about that.
Absolutely, and we'll go into all that because I know there's been a lot of work in that. There's been a lot of expansion. There's lots of things which we'll go into. But you mentioned that sort of growth. You mentioned where you're heading. Investments has come through recently in a fairly high-profile way. A great valuation for the business. Talk to us about what's been the catalyst for all of that, what it means, and where you go.
Yeah, that was a real confirmation of what we've been working on in the marketplace. Right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, we've been banging this drum pretty loud, and this just confirms that the drum we've been banging is the right drum. Okay, it was really good to get that investment. It gave us confirmation of what we've done, and it also allows us to open a few doors in certain areas of the markets where people may not have taken us seriously before. Now there's a real good reason to look at us as an institution. The way we're working with crypto, with the big institutions, driving that forward as well with the futures product. These are really positive steps. But yeah, that was good. Well, with that investment comes a lot of work, a lot of growth, right? And we're really excited to get cracking with that. And a big piece of that is the people part. There's another part with the offices as well that we're located nicely near Westfield Shopping Centre, which is handy for your lunchtime. But the office is in need of a bit of work, so we're going to drive investment there as well. We're going to make this a great place to work through the collab spaces and everything else. So we're moving that. On the flip side of that, coming out of the pandemic, well, if you ask Boris, it's gone, right?
Yeah,
we're living with it.
It very much depends where you're looking. Living with it is probably the best way, doesn't it?
Definitely. But, we're embracing remote working. So that's allowing us to be a bit more advanced around how we scale the operation and how we can write code around the clock. We might touch on that a bit later.
Yeah, absolutely. So you mentioned there the growth plans and you've spoken a little bit about the infrastructural side of that. I know there's international growth plans. I know there's headcount growth plans. Tell me what 2022 looks like.
So yeah, if we just look back at 21, then we grew the headcount about 38%. We're up to 215 people now across the organisation.
Amazing, that isn't it? Yeah, we were talking beforehand about the size of when we first started working. Now 215 globally. It's amazing to see it, and I love seeing the growth of the business.
Yeah, it's great. We're lucky. We've worked hard. Let's not just rely on luck. We've worked hard to get there. But, 2022 is going to be even bigger. We're looking at adding another 40% to that. So that's across the US, New Zealand. We've already got a development team running there. We've got a big team in London. We also have a team in Singapore. The US has been sales operational until now. So we're really looking to drive the development in that area. So that will bring us development teams across the States, again, working remotely. We're not going to just sit them in one place. We're looking for talent across the US to come and join us, allowing us to just grow the product. Our dream is that we can write code round the clock. We can share epic stories across these time zones. It'll allow us to deliver faster and just, hit our targets better. We've got so many great ideas. Very much. Most dev teams will have the same problem, right? But ours is just growing day by day. So the more code we write, the more product we build, the rest makes sense, right?
I think that's been a real sort of, we spoke about there in the pandemic in the last 2 years, have sort of opened the doors to a lot of different thinking, right? It's opened the doors to some traditionally quite traditional thinking about the workspace, about where people can go through, about how things work up. And I think companies like LMAX have been really pioneering and recognizing that this can be done in a different way. The States is really interesting for me because, we've got operations out there, as we were talking about beforehand. And, traditionally in financial services, you go to Boston or you go to Chicago, you go to New York, and that would be your hub around there as well. But this has opened up a whole new feast of talent and access to talent across, somewhere that's, what is it, 5 times the size of the UK population, at least in terms of what we're looking at. So tell me how that works and how you anticipate that.
Yeah, so we're looking, firstly, we're going to try and seed a lead out there. So we're currently on the trail for people in the US, specifically that head person that can grow that team for us there. We're going to bring them over to we kind of like to seed teams with experience. And that's how what we don't want to do is build a load of developers out in the US that may not be productive straight away, but their ramp up might still be slow. So our strategy there is, let's get a head guy in, let's get him into London, embed him in the culture. That's a big part of what we do. We spoke about that last time. I was actually sat down with the CEO the other day, and we're talking about epics, we're talking about stories, right? And he gets all that. And it's great and refreshing that you don't have to explain all those things and how Agile works. So, we'll get the head guy in, bring them to London. They'll then go back, hopefully take some people from the UK as well, grow the team in the US. It then starts rolling. And before you know it, we've got functional teams out there delivering products. Our kind of dev teams around the size of 5 people. They're pairing. We've got a tester in there as well. We've spoken about this before. Our automated testing is one of our USPs, really. Most people think about CI, and it's kind of, it's a dream. We'd love to get there. We're doing it. We live and breathe it each day, and it's kind of how we manage to write code so effectively and build product. So the sooner people get into that and get into that culture, writing code, shipping product, that's what we want. So, we're looking to bolster that US team through this year. I mean, it'd be really nice by the end of this year to have a couple of feature teams, so maybe 10 developers working out the US. That would be ideal.
That's amazing, isn't it? And as you say, that ability and that advantage you've got then to be sort of never sleeping, so to speak, in terms of what happens and how you can do things, just speeds everything, the evolution of the group up. Completely, particularly when there's so much growth across, just opportunity. I mean, sat behind you there, you've got the digital, the exchange, the global aspects of everything you're doing. That requires work at pace. That requires the opportunity to do things, and to have New Zealand, to have Europe and Asia and America then thrown into the mix. That's a real trading advantage for you guys, right?
Definitely, yeah, most certainly. Now, the other challenge we have with that is that, great, we're going to throw in all these developers, we're going to build more products. Along with that comes what we're putting in a lot of foundations at the moment. We've recently hired a chief people officer. She's kind of growing the people and the premises side for us, making great strides there. We've got more stuff coming on the marketing side. Barbara's hiring. She's now chief growth officer. So there's lots of areas there that we're focusing on. Now, with all of that, people, product, marketing, we can't neglect the process there. We're trying to get we're spending a lot of time investing in people and tooling to get our foundations right. What's the point in building this great house if it's going to subside? So a lot of accreditations we're heading for, ISO, SOC, all of these is all process back office stuff as well. So we're putting a lot of effort in to get that right, allowing the business to scale above it.
Yeah, that's so important, right? Because there's a lot of fast growth at the moment, and sometimes I think people forget the growing pains of that, and how a 50-person company is very different from a 150-person company. And a 200-person company, you suddenly whack 40% more headcount into that sort of environment, and it's a different beast again, right? And I think what's so refreshing about that is this is scale and growth with a plan. Rather than scale and growth, because and this is one of the issues sometimes you see with investment, isn't it? That money comes in, it's like, right, we've got to do it, the pressure's on. This is all about headcount. Let's build in. But you've traditionally been a business that's had high standards. It's not easy to get a job at LMAX. It's not easy to hire for LMAX, which is a great thing. That's what the way you want it to be. You want to have that high talent density, and you want people to come in there and continue to move the bar further forward. And then when it's in there, you want to make sure you're retaining that. And I know you guys put a lot of thought into, you touched on it beforehand, making it a great place to work, making it innovative, working in challenging projects, getting that flexibility of how you're going about things right. Of all of that, and working really hard on all of that sort of area for your talent, and particularly your tech talent. What sort of stuff have you been doing, and how are you focusing on making sure it does become that great place to work?
It's interesting, right? So a couple of things I want to pick up on there. I'm just going to backtrack through the comments you made. You made some great points. We kind of talked about people making it a great place to work. At the foundation of that is engagement, right? So we've put a lot of effort into measuring our engagement, making sure that we're talking to our employees, safe space for them to feedback. So we're starting to get a baseline of actually how are we doing and how do we compare to our competitors, to other places in the tech space and wider, right? So this is really important measure for us because, you can't really manage what you don't measure, right? It's that old saying.
Yeah.
A lot of effort there, right? Let's find out where we are, where we need to improve, and we'll just make changes as we go through. That's one thing. Then you kind of touched on another benefit and almost kind of a weakness or a challenge that we need around the people we hire. We're looking for those. It was hard to get a job at LMAX, right? We're being very specific about what we needed. Now we're kind of in this mode where we're growing and we're like, well, we can't scale like that, right? We need to be a bit more flexible. So, certainly for the junior end of the bell curve, if you like, we're looking to hire in more at that level and grow the talent. Right, we're still going to hire. Yes, we know we need to hire in experience, and we'll talk about some of the diversity challenges there as well. We're more open to bringing in juniors. Let's bring them in. Let's train them up. Let's get them skilled up early on, and watch them grow and go into different areas. We've had a couple of grads come in so far. We've had some youngsters that came into the business through various channels that have actually started off maybe at service desk and then ended up in networks or gone through into development roles. So we're really embracing
that career portability is important, isn't it? The ability to move in there. And you mentioned before the sort of importance of storytelling and being able to sort of give that pathway to people. And I think that engenders that. That's sort of really difficult. I was at an event yesterday within the financial technology space, and one of the big things, I spoke to 2 or 3 different companies who were all talking about their talent moving on. And actually, it was almost rebranding that sort of process of saying, right, okay, they kind of know that they are at a level where they're a feeder club. They don't have to be apologetic about that sort of level. And they say, right, they're a brilliant company, and they're not saying they need someone for their career. They're saying they're going to put them in a brilliant position to spend 3, 4, 5 years with them, to then put them on that pathway to going to the next levels of their career. And if it's with them, great. If it's not, then they've really benefited from being in that environment. And I think that sort of mixture there of that high talent density, as I say, of people who are doing the job already, combined with people in there who are still the cream of the crop, be that graduates or be that entry level or be that transferring from another skill set, and giving them those opportunities to excel, learn new skills and pick things up, I think is fantastic. And that allows the confidence then to grow and scale accordingly with everything you're looking to do.
Yeah, definitely.
You touched on something beforehand, and I wanted to sort of go into that as well. Crypto futures is, when we talk about attraction, we're talking about some of the areas now where everyone's interested. Crypto futures is a really interesting space, and I know you guys are doing some really exciting stuff in there as well. Tell us a little bit about what that looks like.
Yeah, so we've partnered with 6 recent press release there. So this is really kind of trying to help the institutional space get into crypto with a trusted platform, which we are to them. They've been trading FX with us for many years. They want this product that's centrally cleared. So, we've highlighted that. We've had a product running on our broker side for a while. So there's a real big push for that. That should get launched towards the end of this year. And that really then just rounds off the solution really for the institutions to come and there's no excuse for them not to come and trade on us then and really embrace crypto. I think we're all kind of pretty sure it's here to stay now.
It looks that way, doesn't it?
Yeah, let's hope so. For those that are invested in it, for sure, let's keep our fingers crossed there. But yeah, and at the moment we're seeing some volatility in that market space, but not as much as we did through 2021, right? But everyone looks at the Bitcoin price, but when you look at the futures market, that's bigger than the spot, right? So hence, why wouldn't we go there? But it's important that it's centrally clear, so we're partnering with the right people to do this and make sure it's a good product for the market.
And that gives you some really interesting challenges for your team as well to get involved in, because speaking to talent all the time, it's one of those sexy areas of the market that people want to get involved in. Are you seeing that helpful with the access that people can get into a space that's, I always think one of the biggest things about financial technology that gets undersold is just the complexity and excitement of the challenges that are being created from a technology point of view. So you're doing things that really shift the needle from a purpose perspective of what people are coming in to deal with. I think this is a really important point, right?
Yeah, definitely. And when I look at how we write code, how we deploy it, how we support it, and just how we deliver it, even the FX side is it's really interesting. So people will come in thinking, oh yeah, you're a crypto exchange. I'm really interested in blockchain, but then, oh wow, you're doing all this other stuff on the other side. And you're releasing to production every 2 weeks in an agile way, and you can make big changes to the system quickly and efficiently, right? So these are really good things and a good message to have across the board. But yeah, I mean, look, crypto, it's fun, it's cool. Let's not, I don't think FX is going away anytime soon.
True. You've got balance. That's actually a really interesting point you make there, because I think there's other companies I know who are sort of pinching talent away from other areas of their business to invest it into their crypto piece. And I think that misses a trick. And I think it creates internal issues at the same sort of stage around what that goes with, because whilst it's to an extent the emperor's new clothes to some part of view of it, actually the point is there's enormous challenges, enormous opportunities and great things to be building across the business and looking at all aspects of the company at the same time to be able to build up and do those things. So I think that's an important aspect to look at as well. Whilst there's some sexy stuff there, it's across the industry as well, right?
Yeah, definitely. And the reason we're doing well in the crypto space is that we're taking our trusted platform that's reliable, that's performant, it's low latency, it's built for scale. It's different to the retail market, definitely. It's a different product, it's a different mindset. We actually take this technology from the FX space and we've deployed it into the crypto area. And I think I mentioned in our last discussion, that actual change happened quite easily, right? Yeah. Or easier than someone building it from the ground up. We took the technology, we turned things off actually, rather than add things, we turned things off. We don't need this, we don't need that. Now it's suitable for crypto. So, we're looking at those challenges that we had in the FX space that the crypto space is probably yet to have, okay? So it's about latency, it's about uptime, you want consistent latency as well. It's no good being able to place a trade or put orders through a system and then 5 minutes under load, your latencies have gone through the roof. So it's about that consistent, reliable experience and being transparent and fair, which we are.
That consistency piece is a really interesting, I shoot back to, we were talking beforehand, weren't we, about how time's almost irrelevant these days. And I was just thinking in my head there that it was like a couple of years ago, but probably 10 years ago, all the conversation I was having was about the race to zero latency or to get through. And it was all about speed. And, we had so much different discussion around that. And everyone was trying to, talk about zero, as close to zero latency as possible. But the consistency aspect was always something there, which I think got underlooked. So, there's no point being super speed for a week and then losing that over the course of the next week. That consistency and when you think about financial services, the words that you really want, as alongside friction reduction and latency and all those things, one of the words you really want, or two of the words you really want, are trust and consistency as well, right? And I think that's something which has been the cornerstone of LMAX, in my opinion, for the last 10 years.
And that the way that we're kind of testing code and releasing it so often, the automated testing again, all helps us have a lot of faith in our measurements. So we're always looking at those red lines. We're making sure that our benchmarks, our micro benchmarks as well, are all intact. So it's looking after the really small numbers as well as the bigger ones, right? And we know when we're kind of at that level we're at, right? We're starting to get towards that red line, guys. Let's look at what the next performance tuning is. Is it hardware? Is it some efficiency in the code? Is it other measures? So it's constant. And that's what makes it an interesting place to work, certainly from a development point of view. But then the rest of the business, right? We're breaking new ground all the time.
Speaking of breaking new ground, touched on it beforehand. Growth in the US, growth in New Zealand. What does that give to the group, and what's that mean realistically for your customers, for yourselves, for the people in the team? Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so we've got the reliability sorted, low latencies, consistency, but then, is it delivering the right product? So can we get product out there quick enough? Can we get the right product to the right customer? So all of those things tie into the round-the-clock development. Shifting stories from one time zone to another is our kind of strategic goal here. We might have an epic that we break down into a couple of stories or work streams or whatever term you want to use. And we can have New Zealand working on one stream, London working on another, and at some point they converge and we've got a product that we deliver. What would be great is if we could bring in the US into the fold as well, have that where we spec out a product, the story gets handed from one time zone to another, we follow the sun with the development, It comes back, there's efficient handovers through the day, overlapping shifts. That for us is where we want to get to. But we've got a little way to go.
I can just sense your excitement about that as well, though. It's like it's almost that sort of tangible thing of I can see it.
Yeah, but this is not easy to do, right? This is going to be a challenge. We're going to need the right people. We need the right structure. They need to be engaged. We've got to have good process. But yeah, we're probably going to take a hit in productivity as we move through these cycles, and we're fine with that. We're used to failing fast, right? We'll give something a go. If it doesn't quite work, we'll adapt it. We'll make it work. That'll get us to a point. Hopefully when we speak next year, I can talk more about that. I think it was a year, right? We worked that.
It's probably around. We were trying to work out beforehand. I'll give you the exact numbers when I can't let that sort of detail lie. But yeah, it's been a little while, and I'm sure you're going to be back in and even more excited next time we do it. We'll do it in person as well next time.
Yeah, that'd be great, right? Sure. Yeah, maybe we'll do it in the US, in the Miami office, or wherever we are.
There we go. I'll take that. I'll be flying out for that one. No problem at all.
So that's part of the plan, and we need the right people to do that. So again, we're calling out. We want people to apply to LMAX careers at lmax.com, email address, go to the careers website. Just let us know you're interested in what we do. If you want to find out more about what we do, we're happy to share that as well. We're going to start writing more blogs. We've recently released a REST API for our FX and digital exchanges. It's part of that growth again. We've got the foundations right. Now we've got the extension built. We're looking at a conservatory around the other side. Yeah, we're really growing. We're looking forward to it.
And look, part of that story is, and we've spoken about this a lot in the past, and something which I know we're engaging with you on, is diversity is at the core of growth and of process and having a good sort of blended workforce. And that's diversity in all aspects. You've been engaging with us on the 19% list, where we look to ensure that we've got people there who are creating roles for gender diverse talent within the space as well. What have you done there? Talk to us a little bit about how you're working to promote more women in technology, to increase diversity within LMAX, and how you become a attractive proposition there as well.
Yeah, sure. I mean, firstly, when I first found out about the percentage project, it was 17, right? So I'm really glad to hear that you've moved it from 17 to now 19. It should be bigger, right? Well, I don't even know why we have a percentage. It should just be right, as many as women in tech as we can fit in. So, but we're struggling, right? So when we go back to that, where we were looking for experienced developers to join us, we were struggling, right, to find women in tech. We'd get some, but maybe not at the right level for us, or there just wasn't enough volume. We've seen a shift now, definitely. So I talked about some of the juniors that came into our organisation through 2021. Probably 60%, 70% of those were women, which is great to see. Right? So there's a clear shift. There's a clear shift at the bottom of that bell curve, but I'm sure there's more out there. We just want them to apply. It's not FinTech. Maybe it's full of I don't know, old men in sandals, right? But it's not. We're a young, dynamic organisation.
It's changing.
Yeah, we've never said no to women. We've always embraced it. And it's just good that everyone else is really focusing on it now, because it's really important for us. We've got Jenna Wright, who runs our digital. She's a managing director of the crypto side of the business, which is great. She won an award recently for being one of the most influential people in that space. I think that's really good for us. It's not just in technology. We want women across the organisation. It helps for a good balance. Why not? And
also as role models as well, right? People setting the light and setting the tone and opening up, because for where it is, you can't suddenly just magic a whole load of experienced people into a space and change a number. What you can do is what you're doing there, which is looking at the junior end of the scale and making it attractive for people to enter the industry, because that's where it will start to move that needle. And 19 will become 20 that will ultimately represent society, which is where you want it to be, right?
Yeah, definitely. I want to see, next time we meet, I want to see that percentage much higher, right?
We're working on it. We're working on it. Yeah. So you're doing some good stuff around there. I know that you guys have also been sort of advocates, as you said before, about sort of bringing talent in, as well as hiring talent at various stages and getting that that blend right. It's been a lot of the history of the business has been around, let's get that experience into it. Talk to me about why entry talent and growing that talent, and what you guys are doing to make sure that it's a great, it's always been a great business for experience, because of just the complexity and the excitement and the technology you guys have been involved in the marketplace. For people coming into it, talk to us about that growth. You've kind of spoken there about people coming in and being able to have that maneuverability and that portability of talent. I imagine now there's some international options which sort of come open to people as well. Give us the pitch for someone who's starting in their careers, and how you guys are helping to grow talent in the organisation.
Yeah, so I think one of the key things there is that it can be overwhelming. Right? You look at crypto, you look at exchange, you look at all that technology, you think, well, that's complex. And this goes for any race, gender, right? It's kind of, we don't want you to think like that. We're very much, let's give it a go. We can teach you. There's skill and will, right? As long as you've got the passion and the attitude, you can learn. And whether that's, you might come into our business at, like a service desk level. You come in, you're moving tickets about in the system. All of a sudden, you show an interest in Python. And then all of a sudden, there's lots of other avenues open to you. We run internal training. We've got those programs. But then you can kind of start to branch out. Some of the juniors that came into our organization, we had some that went to development, some that went into networks, and we'll have others that go into other areas of our organization, I'm sure. So it's like, don't be scared, right? Don't be afraid to fail either, right? Because we'll totally embrace that. Come on board. We'll give you the framework to grow. We've got the technology there, and it's yours to fail, really, right? But don't just work hard. But the world is
you mentioned, I mean, you mentioned that beforehand, right? You spoke there and very modestly spoke about the luck that's involved. But I'll always forever be an advocate of luck being a sort of very abstract sort of terminology. And usually, any time you investigate any lucky sort of performance over a sustainable period of time, luck is the least important part of the whole thing. It's about knowing where the market goes, knowing what the right areas to move into, and then backed up by a bunch of skilled people who are working really hard to create and solve problems. And I think, with the framework of what you're talking about there, and the significant part of it is, and this is so undervalued, I think, within the industry, is people come into it, and why technology and as a whole, and why financial technology has that sort of almost, it has a moat around it for a lot of people who won't go into it because of the fear of how detailed and complex and it can be, is actually when you've got people around you who are able to say, right, we'll work with you, we'll give you that psychological safety, we'll allow you to fail, we'll support that side of things, but alongside it, we'll keep on, if you're putting your effort into it and if you're working hard. The great thing about financial services technology for me is people who work hard prosper. And as long as you've got that sort of core ability to pick these things up, if you're working hard, if you're showing what there, if you're looking for mentorship, if you're asking the right questions, and if you're there and you've got the right organization, I generally think it's a phenomenal career for people to get into. And I think the philosophy of you guys has always been around that, to make it a really supportive environment. I think that's only sort of, from my view of the outside in, it's that sort of environment there that allows people to prosper and gives people, with the right attitude, the ability to really drive their career further forward.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to get it across, but maybe it's something we should work on. But from an environmental point of view, and that's something we do care about, not the environment around us, but the environment within LMAX that you work. When you're in there, embedded and living it, there is a lot of safety. The way that we retrospect over things that didn't go so well, the way that we're continuously trying to improve, you soon learn that actually there's a way that I can fail safely and have security around me, that people will actually learn from my mistakes as well, if that makes sense. And not that we want to go and break everything on day one, because that probably wouldn't be your best start to your career. But
I get it. Tim, you're making those mistakes on purpose just to show the lesson. I understand.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So, having that safe environment, number one. But then also, being able to grow into different parts of the business is really interesting. When we started out, we were very much a kind of broker-led business with an exchange, or maybe, depending on who you ask, we're an exchange business with a broker. So now we've got crypto as well. So we've got all the data problems that come along with that, and market data distribution. So now you come into LMAX as one person, and then all of a sudden these other avenues are open to you, and we're quite welcome to you to divert into these other areas of the business. And then, of course, crypto is very much different from FX in a kind of esoteric way, right? But fundamentally, it's an order or a trade, that same technology, but then the way that you clear FX or you keep cryptocurrency safe in custody, that's when you start to find out the really interesting stuff we're up to.
Yeah, it's really, really exciting. So look, there's a world of stuff going on. You've got a busy 2022 ahead of you. Give me a sort of final hurrah. Why should people be joining LMAX at the moment?
Well, I mean, the growth, it's exponential, right? Another 40% this year. We're going to have great new offices to work in, but, some time at home, some time in the office. It's a great place to work. That we've got so many opportunities that we're trying to break into as well. The way we rotate our staff, there's global travel in there as well. Let's not forget Singapore. Let's not forget Tokyo, Chicago. We're a global business now, and we're putting in those foundations. It's a great time to come and join us.
Well, I'm nearly putting my CV together for you myself, but
Yeah.
if you've mentioned it before, but just let them know again, if there's people there who are listening to that, who should they be reaching out to? How should they reach out, and how should they get in touch about careers at LMAX?
Yeah, by all means, LinkedIn, Tim Turner at LMAX, find me, send me a message, give me a LinkedIn request. You got careers@lmax.com via email. There's also careers.lmax.com on the website. So yeah, our careers page will be updated soon. So we've got some new content to add there as well, which kind of reinforces what we've spoken about today. But yeah, that's the best way to get hold of us.
Fantastic. Tim, look, it's always a pleasure having you on the show, and I love just, as I say, you were one of the very first people we worked with as a company, so I've always got a very soft spot for LMAX, and just seeing it grow and grow, and that story just gets better and better, and I wish you nothing but the very, very best of luck. So great company to work for, great company to talk to, great company to do business with. Tim, thanks so much for coming on the show again today.
Thanks, Toby. Speak to you soon.
Likewise, and thank you all for watching. We will see you soon on another episode of FinTech Focus TV. Thanks a lot.